Walmart shoppers still in the store. Store is now closed. Attention, any remaining customers.
But it's happening. Will permanently close next month.
In total, the company announced that 269 store locations will be closed worldwide starting next month. Though most of the store locations are in the United States, a bulk of the store closures will occur in Brazil as well. Included in the restructuring, 102 Walmart Express stores will be closed in the United States, with 154 stores in the U.S. closing altogether. The move will affect 16,000 employees. In other markets, Walmart said it was closing 115 stores in Latin America, including 60 in Brazil.
So this comes as officials with the company continue to pull workers back to its main hubs. So in the memo that was sent to employees, the retailer said it is cutting roles and asking office-based employees in some of its smaller offices to relocate to the company's newly opened headquarters, but did not specify how many workers are being impacted.
Attention, any Walmart shoppers still in the store. Store is now...
Shalom. I want to give all honors and glories and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Wakakodash, Yahweh, which is the one true name of the Heavenly Father, Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one true name is Yahushai, Bahashim, meaning coming in the name, Ba means coming in, Ha means the, Shah means name, Rakah meaning spirit, Kodash meaning holy, peace, blessing, salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom to you, sincere brothers that are scattered abroad, pushing forth this word in truth and sincerity. Shalom to you, sincere sisters that are listening to this truth in silence, as the scriptures command you to do so. I am the brother Mashiach Razakah, and pretty much in this lesson, it's going to be titled as Walmart closes permanently. You know, Walmart stores closes permanently. And, you know, it's going to be a lot of Walmarts that's going to close. And they gave an estimate in the video, which is going to be 16,000 employees are going to be without work. And it's starting to get, with the jobs, it's starting to really become a struggle to get a job now. Because there's a lot of jobs that's, you know, not hiring anymore. Okay, and I'm probably going to do a lesson on that. I seen a video on that. How now Vegas, even in Vegas, is starting to get very hard to get employment with a job now. Okay, they're starting to limit the numbers of hire of employees to get. Okay, so we're coming into the times of trembling of fear. Okay, Jacob trouble is coming. You know, all of these Walmarts, they're closing permanently, plan on closing permanently. 16,000 employees are going to be without work. That's going to cause a lot of uproars and civil unrest. Now, we got uproars right now, you know, with the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Hispanics, right? They're doing a lot of protests, right? And now the protests of so many, you know, Trump deporting a lot of his so-called Hispanics, right, which are the Issacharites, that they're so terrified now that they're not even going to work. So now it's starting to cause an effect with the labor of transporting fruits and things like that. Okay, because Issachar would labor in the warehouses, you know, to do a lot with the work of the transporting foods, you know, what do you call those? Loading the food cargo, the fruit cargo, like the apples, you know, the oranges, you know, they would, you know, help deport them by putting them on the trucks. But now they don't have any employees to do that because so many of them now are hiding because Trump is deporting them, or they also in part of the riots. So this is the time that we're coming into, okay? And Lord willing, that's edifying. 2 Timothy 3:1, it says, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." And when you look up the meaning of the word
Perilous,
it's full of danger or risk, exposed of imminent risks, or it says risk of disaster or ruin. So you see that this is the time that we're coming into. We're coming into these perilous times, right? A lot of uproars, mayhem, things like that is leading into what? Jacob's trouble. Got a precept, Jeremiah 30:5. It says, "For thus saith the Lord," anytime you see Lord in caps, it's talking about the Heavenly Father, "we have heard a voice of trembling of fear and not of peace." So we're not in a time of peace. We're in a time of fear. People are in a time of fear, right? Anguish, distress, right? People are in these times of mourn, fear, right? Verse 6, it says, as you know and see whether a man do travail with child, wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness, feeble and weak. There's a lot of people that are weak, that are faint, right? Look at the things that Trump is doing. He's deporting all, even if you have a green card, you're getting deported. So it's putting people in a time of fear, of mourn, distress, okay? Especially for Issachar, okay? It's putting them into the spirit of fear, mourn, distress, anger, right? Trump is deporting a lot of Issacharites, and some of them been here for over 50 something years. Okay, they got green cards and the whole nine, and he's still deporting if you have a green card. It's ridiculous, right? Verse 7, it says, Alice for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. And that's the time that we're coming into. Okay, those Walmarts that are going out of business, those are going to become concentration camps. Okay, and that's why a lot of these Walmart stores are going out of business. Okay, it says 16,000 employees is going to be without work. That's going to put an effect on a lot of people. Okay, that's going to put effect on a lot of people, especially with food, purchasing of foods and all of these other things, you know, with all these Walmarts closing. Okay, and it's, you know, I don't know if that's true or not, but they said all the Walmarts closing permanently. Okay, so that's going to put an effect on a lot of people, you know, especially with work, you know, also with food and you know, water. It's going to put an effect. 1 Thessalonians 5:3, for when they shall say peace and safety, right? And that's the spirit of these people in society, right? They have, you know, the spirit of being comfortable, you know, but what's going to happen when things get uncomfortable for you? How are you going to react? What are you going to do? This is why we got to seek and cry out to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, okay? Because things are about to turn up. It's really getting out of hand, okay? It says, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So you see the time that we're coming into, okay? We're coming into the time of fear, right? Let's read it again. It says, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, right? Those are those travailing or those birth pains, right? That word travail means to suffer pain or painful efforts. So, you know, when a woman is having a baby and she's receiving those contractions, those are those birth pains, meaning what? That baby is going to come. That child is getting ready to come. She's getting ready to conceive that child, right? But this is on a spiritual level. So those birth pains are starting to increase on the earth, as we see now. We see those travailing birth pains spiritually vibrating and increasing on the earth. Okay, things are beginning to increase. You see in these turmoils, right? This civil unrest, you know, the stages of it, right? Uproars, mayhem, wars, right? We seeing these things begin to increase on the earth. Those are those travailing pains. It says, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So you can't escape this. This is going to lead into the hour of temptation, which will be that CBDC, because that's coming. That's going to be the new currency. Zechariah 14:1, it says, behold, the day of the Lord cometh, right? And thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. Verse 2, and I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses raffled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. And this is going into Jacob's trouble. That's what this is going into. It says, then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the day of battle. So this is going into Jacob's trouble, right? And this is what it's leading into. Okay, and Jacob's trouble is not just going to be upon the heathen nations. All right, we're not already in Jacob's trouble yet, right? And we're not going to be saved before Jacob's trouble. We literally have to go through Jacob's trouble first before we can be saved. And I want to prove this in this lesson, right? Because you got Jakes that are teaching that, and that's false doctrine, right? Daniel 12:1. This is Daniel 12:1. It says, and at that time Michael shall stand up, Michael the archangel, right? The great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble. See, so we got to go through Jacob's trouble first before we can be saved. It says, such as never since there was a nation, even to that same time, right? And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that it's like it shall be found written in a book. So we got to go through Jacob's trouble first before we can be saved. Jacob's trouble is not just going to come upon the heathen nations, all right? And we're not going to be saved before Jacob's trouble, okay? We literally got to go through Jacob's trouble first before we can be saved. That's why it's called the hour of temptation, okay? This is Proverbs 1:22. How long will ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity, and scorners delight in their scornings, and fool hate knowledge? That's talking about 2/3 of the mindset of our people. Right, verse 23, turn you at my reproof, behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you, and I will make known my words unto you, which the Lord is doing now. He's doing through his prophets. But right now, you got a lot of our people that's despising it and that's speaking against it. Verse 24, because I have called and ye refuse, I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded. Verse 25, it says, but ye have set at my naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. You don't want the correction when the Lord sent his men out. Right? It says, and when your fear cometh, then this is what's going to happen. Verse 23, I will also laugh at your calamity, and I will mock when your fear cometh. Right? And when you go into the meaning of that word calamity there, it goes into
Calamity.
an event causing great or often sudden damage or distress, a disaster. You see that? So when that comes your way, you people that mock the prophets, we've been telling you that this is going to happen. We've been saying martial law is going to come. We've been saying World War III is going to take place. We've been saying there's going to be a global economic collapse. We've been telling you that the fiat currency, which is the dollar, is going to collapse, and they're going to come in with a digital currency. We've been telling you all of these things. Now, when these things come to pass, you're going to realize that those prophets that were out on the street corners preaching and teaching the word to you, giving you the warning, were the true messengers of the Lord. And you're going to try to go out there and seek them, and it's going to be too late. You're not going to be able to find them because you had time to get this truth and you didn't do it. Right? Verse 26, I also will laugh at your calamity, and I will mock when your fear cometh, because you mocked the prophets. So now the Lord is going to mock you. He's going to do it through his prophets. That's how he's going to mock you. Right? Verse 27, when your fear cometh as desolation, because that's what's going to come. Your fear is going to come as desolation. You're going to be like, wow, those guys that was on the street corner, they were telling the truth the whole time. What was the name that they were calling on? You're going to try to go on the internet. The internet ain't going to be working no more. That's going to be famine of the word, because they're going to get rid of the internet. There's too much information being brought out. There's too much information that's being revealed. Esau is going to shut the internet down. And he's going to do that. It's coming. He's going to do that. He's going to shut the internet down. And you're not going to be able to know the names of the Lord. You're not going to be able to know where those men are. You're going to try to go out where those men are, but they're not going to be there. Right? Verse 27, it says, when your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish shall come upon you. And that's what's going to come upon you people. Verse 28, then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. And that's the time we're coming into. Famine of the word. Okay? Because the only way you can find the Lord is through his prophets. That's the only way you're going to be able to find the Lord. You can't find the Lord nowhere else. You can't seek the Lord nowhere else. The Lord has prophets set up, and you have to go to those men to seek the Lord. But it's coming to a time where you're not going to be able to find the Lord. Amos 8:11. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst of water, but of hearing the word of the Lord. You see that? So this truth, the Lord is once this truth has reached this point, its breaking point, that's going to be it. Because the Lord is going to set it up where the word ain't going to be preached no more. Right? Because Esau is going to come in, and he's going to shut the internet off. He's going to get rid of that. He's going to have it where you ain't going to be able to go out and teach no more. We ain't going to be able to go out and teach no more. And Elder Apostle Tahar is going to come out. He's going to do a video. And he's going to say, hey, we had a good run. Ain't going to be no more teaching after that. No more teaching. We had a good run. So once he say that, ain't going to be no more out there. Ain't going to be no more street teaching. Ain't going to be no more teaching a word and you seeing us out there no more. Once that's it, that is it. And it says, and they shall wander from sea to sea. Because now you're going to realize that everything those prophets were saying on the street corners were true. You're going to try to go out there and seek them. It's going to be too late because you ain't going to be able to go. They ain't going to be there. That area where they were at, that you didn't see them every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, wherever that group is at, that been teaching on that corner, that you've been calling crazy, that you've been saying them guys is a hate group and all that, you're going to realize that those were the true men of the Lord, the true prophets. and you're going to try to go to that corner to see if they're there, and you're not going to be able to find them there. They're not going to be there. You had time to get it, and you didn't get it. Right? And it says they shall wander from sea to sea. They're going to go from state to state, right? From the north even to the east, from city to city, state to state, to try to find those men, right? They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord and shall not find it. You're not going to be able to find it. Famine of the word is going to come. All these things are going to happen, and you're going to be left out there to be on your own because you didn't seek the Lord when you had a chance, when you had the time to. Right? Second Esdras 9:1. It says he answered me then and said, measure the time diligently in itself. Well, we're in the last days. Okay, we've been in the last days since the Messiah first stepped foot on the scene. That was the beginning of the last days. We've been in the last days. We're in the last days now. So now that we're in these last days, we're measuring the time diligently. And let me prove that. Okay, because I'm saying that. Right? We've been in the last days since the Messiah first stepped foot on the scene. That's in Hebrews. Right? It's to prove that. I think it's Hebrews, not 11:1. It's Hebrews 1, and I believe it's 2. Right? Yep. This is Hebrews 1:2. Hebrews 1:2. It says, have in these last days spoken unto us by his son, talking about Yahushua, whom ye have appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds. So we've been in the last days. We've been in the last days. We've been in the last days since the Messiah first stepped foot on the scene. That was the beginning of the last days. Now that we're in the last days, we're near the finish line of the last days, right? This is why we're doing this. Second Esdras 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure the time diligently in itself. And that's what we're doing. We're measuring the times diligently in itself. Right? And when thou seest part of things past, which I have told thee before. So there you go. We're in the last days. We've been in the last days. Okay? And this is why we're preaching and teaching the word. Right? The scriptures say, what's the precept? Salakia. This is Romans 13:11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake up out of sleep. Now, what is this talking about when it says wake up out of sleep? That's not talking about physically going in bed and taking a nap. Okay, that's talking about spiritually being asleep. Because 2/3 of our people are still literally spiritually asleep. Alright? It says that knowing the time, that now is a high time to awake out of sleep. Spiritual sleep, right? If you embedded in the philosophies, the politics, and the false religions, alright, you're spiritually asleep. You're not woken up yet. You still going to church on Sunday. You still celebrating pagan holidays. You still just being a worldly Gentile Israelite. You still sleep, right? It says, for now is our salvation near to when we believe, right? Our salvation is near now. We're in the last days, really in the last days, okay? Anything can literally take point, pop off at this point, okay? We're literally in the last days, man. We're literally in the last days. So this is why we're measuring the time. Let me read this again. 2 Esdras 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of these signs pass, which I have told thee before. So we're in the last days. Okay, this is the end of Esau's rulership. Okay, the end of age. Okay, Esau is the end of the world. Right? Let's get that. Sirach, I think it's Sirach. No, 2 Esdras. Salakia. Got so many scriptures in my head. 2 Esdras 6 and 9. Right? This is 2 Esdras 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world. Esau is the end of the world. This is the end of Esau's rulership, the end of age. Okay? His kingdom is coming to an end. That's why he's pushing forth all these agendas. He's pushing forth all these man-made famines. Right? You're going to have a global economic collapse. You're going to have all of these things because Esau is going to come in with his new world order. Okay? Esau is going to come in with like a flood. Right? He's going to come in with his MOTB, all of that. Esau is the end of the world. And Jacob is the beginning of that followeth, because once Esau's rulership is taken down, which Yahushua is going to come back to do, as the scriptures say, right? Esau's kingdom is going to be taken down. When you go to Isaiah, what's that, 14 and 12, and Luke 10 and 18, that's talking about Esau. Esau is a so-called white man. His Illuminati power structure is going to be taken down. That's what that's talking about. Esau, I'm talking about the so-called white man. His power structure is going to be brought down. Okay, his power structure, his rulership is going to be taken down by the Lord, right? And the Lord, when he come back, he's going to set his kingdom on the planet Earth. The kingdom of heaven is going to reign on the earth. That's in Revelation chapter 5 and verse 10, right? And Jacob is the beginning of that follower because we got next. We're going to be ruling next, right? And total righteousness. The scriptures say, Revelation 21 and 1, it says the first heaven, the first earth pass away. That's talking about Esau's rulership. For Esau is the end of the world. That's talking about Esau's rulership. But the scriptures say a new heaven and a new earth, which that's talking about a new rulership. So Yahweh Shai, he's going to set his kingdom of heaven. He's going to set the kingdom of heaven on the earth. And we're going to be governed under Yahweh Shai. That's where that John 3:16 come in at. Because that's John 3:16. That's referring to the Israelites. Yahweh Shai died for the Israelites, right? Which that word cosmos in John 3:16, which that word world goes into G2889, it goes into cosmos. But the etymology of cosmos is G2865, which is kamizo, which is talking about the preserved. When you go deeper, it talks about the preserved, right? Restoring of the remnant of Israel, mentioned in Isaiah 49 and 6. All right, so that's dealing with Israel there. And that's why the scriptures saying Jacob is the beginning of that follow, because we got next. The kingdom of heaven is going to be on the earth, and who's going to be ruling? The Israelites. So, hey, man, we're coming into those times. You know, all these stores are closing because Esau is coming in like a flood. And I'm just going to get this last precept, and then we'll end it with that, wrap it up with that. This is Revelations, Salakia. Revelations 12 and 12. Revelations 12 and 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. His kingdom is almost up, and he don't want to let go of his kingdom. He don't want to lose his kingdom. So now Esau is coming in like a flood. He's pushing forth his agendas. Okay? He know that his time is up. So he's coming in like a flood. He's going to come in with all of these. He's going to come in like a flood, right? He's going to come in with his wrath, his new world order, all of these things. So, hey, man. Lord willing, this lesson's edifying. On to the next one. Shalom.